evening, everyone. Tonight we'll fill you in on all of the latest local headlines and groundbreaking world news.
In this week's headlines, a dance fundraiser to be held for Northampton refugees, a 21-year-old woman dies in a Montague car crash, a peaceful rally in Springfield supported Muslims, and a tornado touched down in Western Mass.
I'm Juhi Dasrath.
And I'm Afnan Nehela. You're watching UMass News Now.
Last Thursday evening, two homeless men targeted a convicted sex offender in front of the Haymarket Cafe in Northampton. The eyewitness who called in the attack said that the homeless men, Chad Waterman and Tyler Julius, assaulted convicted sex offender Paul Chandler and attempted to rob him. After being harassed by both Waterman and Julius, Chandler walked to the nearest bus stop where Waterman followed him and punched Chandler 3 times on the left side of his face. Police say Julius stood near and watched by. Waterman then attempted to steal Chandler's bag, but dropped it as he fled the scene. Police have charged Julius with criminal harassment, misuse of sexual offender registry information, and assault and battery, and unarmed assault with intent to rob.
After struggling with an eating disorder throughout high school, Katie Letty, a senior at University of Massachusetts Amherst, decided to produce a play titled What's Eating Katie? The play is meant as an engaging and educational performance that raises awareness on the issue while also initiating dialogue within the community. The play has a twist to it in which it portrays the eating disorder as a manipulative character that endorses extreme dieting and over-exercising. Letty blames society for not stressing the dangers of skipping meals and not exercising. She believes that educating one another about the consequences of eating disorders is very crucial. The Active Minds UMass chapter, a mental illness advocacy group on campus, also supported the production of this play. For more details about the play, it will be performed Friday, March 3rd and Saturday, March 4th at 7 p.m. in Bowker Auditorium.
Another great 5 College event is coming up this week as well. Amherst College's second annual Lit Fest will return on March 2nd to the 4th. The 3-day literature festival brings award-winning authors and editors to the Johnson Chapel to explore, quote, greater literature from around the world and to represent the Amherst dynamic literary life and literary accomplishments, said event organizer and editor-in-chief of campus magazine, The Commons. Jennifer Acker told Mass Live that last year's event was a huge success. She went on further to say, quote, the guests this year are all phenomenal. Writers who not only craft beautiful sentences, but do so in the service of important ideas. Their originality and precision and dedication to their art have made them leading public figures who inspire and change the way we view the world, end quote. The event is free and open to the public.
Despite abnormally warm temperatures over the weekend, the UMass Amherst Ski and Board Club's Rail Jam was not canceled. Instead, they got creative and literally bought the snow to them. Jackson Cote gives us a closer look.
University of Massachusetts students were shocked Friday afternoon, February 24th, when while walking through the campus center, they found that a giant ramp of snow was standing before them, with fellow students waiting around anxiously in their snow pants. The ramp was part of Rail Jam, an event where skiers and snowboarders can show what they've got on a shortened slope. The UMass Ski and Board Club hosts the event every year and spent about 2 weeks this year promoting it.
When I saw it, I was pretty hyped about it, and I was like, I gotta do this, so I'm here now.
It's just such a big hype for rail jams than a slope style contest. I got best trick last year, so I'm kind of trying to come back and do something better than last year, so we'll see.
We have over 20 competitors come, skiers and snowboarders, in a rail jam format. We have live music, vendors.
This is the UMass Ski and Board Club's 4th year of hosting their annual Winterfest Rail Jam event, bringing in snowboarders from across the state and the country, a musical band, and obviously mounds and mounds of snow. And despite a radical change in weather from what was once 17 inches of snow to what is now a comfortable 65-degree climate, the organization did not let this throw a wrench in their plans.
We've just been shoveling nonstop from parking lot snow piles since all week, basically. Yep. Just truckloads every day. If we had done this last week, it would have been much easier. Yeah. Luckily, we got the snow, though, and it was put into piles in all the parking lots.
And with an abrupt end to the snowboarding season, students were excited to get on the track. Jackson Cody, UMass News Now.
During an unsettling and confusing time for refugees, many have reached out to help those in need. The Northampton Refugee Resettlement Program will hold a dance this Sunday to raise funds for local refugee resettlement. The program hopes to raise at least $6,000 from the event to help refugees pay rent, start businesses, and provide necessities such as baby strollers, school books, and bus passes. The resettlement program has already received several donations, especially from local businesses. For example, several sewing machines have been donated to a group of women from Bundy who are trying to start a sewing business. Deborah Cohen, chair of the fundraising committee, explained that the fundraiser was a good way to show commitment. She said, quote, "When we say we are a solidarity and sanctuary community, we really mean it."
The streets of Springfield were filled with more than 100 protesters last Sunday afternoon. The peaceful rally to support Muslim communities took place outside the Islamic Center of Western Mass. The idea behind the rally was sparked by the Holyoke community staff to make their Muslim students feel welcomed. West Springfield Mayor William Reichelt also attended the standout and stressed the city's support for Muslims in the community. President of the Islamic Society, Muhammad Bajwa, showed his appreciation by welcoming supporters inside the mosque for prayer and meals.
The UMass Amherst campus community are with Springfield in standing up against racism and discrimination. Stephen Giller of Massachusetts Daily Collegian gives us a look at an anti-racism workshop held last week.
Approximately 65 UMass students and Amherst community members gathered in the Cape Cod Lounge of the Student Union on Thursday to take part in an anti-racism workshop.
We need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and one another.
Through open discussion and group work, the attendees went over what skills and ideas could be used to educate the community on how to fight the oppression of minority groups.
It feels great to have so many people here, I mean, in these times it's really important to know how to build our communities and protect one another.
I think that the different benefits and strategic relevance of tolerance and allyship particularly were really useful.
The event was led by Esteban Kelly, the founder of the Anti-Oppression Resource and Training Alliance.
There's so much that we can do, and that we're not alone. That the demonstration of just having so many people active and in the streets, at the airports, the Women's March, I think has really inspired people to think about what are the things that they can do.
The 4-hour session was organized by students in Divest UMass and the Social Thought and Political Economy program, otherwise known as STEPIC.
This is about really learning how we can mobilize around that vision, how we can build our communities, because you need more than just ideas. You also need tools, you need skills.
And the event organizers said they hope the lessons learned today translate into solidarity and inclusion in the community. In Amherst, Stephen Geller, UMass News Now.
After last Friday's visit to Brownsville, Texas at the 1,900-mile Mexican-American border, U.S. Representative Richard Neal says he does not see any value in President Donald Trump's plan to build a wall at the border. He describes the plan as ill-considered and unorganized. After his visit, Neal stated that he is not in support of funding President Donald Trump's border wall. Neal agrees that immigrants who have not done harm should not be on deportation lists. He adds that the number of people that try to illegally cross borders have decreased.
In partnership with Castro Land Trust, the town of Pelham is fighting climate change by launching the state's second demonstration forest. 161 acres of land was permanently preserved this week and will serve as a living laboratory and be actively managed using guidelines that showcase the fight against climate change. As a demonstration forest, the land will prohibit development, but will remain open to the public for hiking, bird watching, and educational purposes. Community Conservation Manager Kat Deely explained, quote, "This is about thinking about ways the community can both have access to open space for passive recreation and the town itself can be generating revenue and the ecological system can benefit."
Last Saturday evening, the National Weather Service confirmed that a tornado hit Conway and Goshen. The aftermath resulted in a dozen roofless homes, a flattened barn, and scattered debris. However, authorities say that no serious injuries were reported. According to a statement released by Select Board Chairman John O'Rourke, the town declared a state of emergency at 9 p.m. and schools were closed for a day. Among the damages was Conway's United Church, which suffered serious interior damage as well as impairment to its slate roof and steeple. Most of the damage had a lot to do with toppled trees or fallen limbs. This tornado was reported to be Massachusetts' first recorded February natural disaster ever.
Northampton Superintendent John Provost is proposing a major staff cut to integrate special education teachers and students to integrate them into the general classrooms. The proposal suggests cutting 32 paraprofessionals like teacher aides and the addition of 10 special education teachers. If his proposal is approved, this means students receiving special education services will be integrated into mainstream classrooms. Each classroom would receive a special education teacher as its secondary instructor. Because of 49% increase of special education students, Provost says the current model is no longer adequate. Some beg to differ. Garrett Adams, an ESL teacher at Jackson Street and Bridge Street schools, said, quote, I want to be sure that we don't try to fix something that's not broken. Parents and teachers spoke out on their concerns about the increase of class sizes and the quick move to implement this into the next school year. Provost would ideally like to move forward with his plan, but has proposed an alternative where the separation of special education classes and mainstream classes stay the same.
Last Friday, Amanda Lilly, a 21-year-old woman, was killed in a 3-car Montague crash. The 2 cars crashed head-on near Turner's Falls Road, according to the Northwestern District Attorney's Office. A 3rd car collided with one of the 2 vehicles involved in the initial crash. According to the reports, Lilly was driving alone. The district attorney's office said 2 people inside one of the other's cars were taken to Bay State Hospital in Springfield and Bay State Franklin Medical Center. The drivers and 3 passengers of the 3rd car were also taken to Franklin Medical Center for evaluation. They were all reported to have minor injuries.
Last year brought the nation's highest overall figure for derailed MBTA vehicles. 6 Green Line trolleys and 2 subway maintenance vehicles were derailed in 2016, leaving no one hurt but many delayed. Officials say that the MBTA system is safe and the total of derailments is relatively low, given that the Green Line is the busiest light rail in the country. Monica Meady, a planner at WSP, Parsons, Brickner, and World Engineering and Design firm, said that the derailments are real. MBTA attributes the increase in subway derailments to a change in federal standards in 2015 when the Federal Transit Authority began requiring documentation of derailments on vehicles that aren't meant to carry passengers, including maintenance trucks. MBTA's chief operator, Jeffrey Gonaville, said, quote, our system is very safe and we have many men and women who work very hard to maintain and inspect our track, as well as our vehicles and its wheels.
79-year-old former comedian and actor Bill Cosby is set to go on trial in June. He is accused of sexually assaulting his former employee, Andrea Constad. Constad claims that Cosby gave her 3 unknown pills before assaulting her. The comedian argues that this was done under consent. Prosecutors want to put 13 other women on the stand to prove that the comic's misconduct is a redundant theme. If convicted, Cosby could get up to 10 years in prison. Cosby's lawyers, however, argue that the women accusing Cosby of doing so are doing so mainly for fame and money. Lawyers are also claiming that most allegations are vague, given that most of the women do not remember specific details.
The Project on Predatory Student Lending at Harvard Law School is suing the Justice Department for withholding documents that may help for-profit college students eliminate their federal education loans. In 2015, the arrangement between several institutions agreed to pay $100 million to resolve accusations that employees were paid based on student enrollment. This is a violation of a federal ban on incentive to compensation at schools in the federal financial aid programs.
After months of anticipation and a falsely projected October open date, the UMass Amherst Old Chapel is newly renovated and open to students. Juhi, Dasrath, and John Decker give us a closer look.
This is Juhi Dasrath with UMass News Now, and we are here at UMass's Old Chapel. After being closed for almost 2 decades, the $21 million 2-year renovation is now complete. The first floor of the chapel has been open for a little over a week now, and students are using it to its full capacity. The new renovations include a handicap-accessible ramp and sloped walkways on the outside of the building. The first floor of the chapel is now equipped with a brand new bathroom, brand new furniture, and 2 meeting rooms.
Before it was closed, there was a lot, the marching band. This was basically the marching band's home. And both of my parents are alumni of the marching band, so this is very important to my family specifically. And we were lucky enough to see it before the renovations happened, and it's nice to be able to come inside.
I just think it's relaxing. It's not as many people as you see in the library. Sometimes that can get overwhelming. I see this place as being very kind of low-key and relaxing.
Well, I think it's a great study space, and because it's so accessible, I think it gives people who need accessibility ramps, such as wheelchairs or crutches or anything, gives them some access to a new study area, and it's open. And I think the gender-neutral bathrooms are a step in the right direction with the sort of like the societal feel towards neutral bathrooms, so I think it's great.
I think it's very welcoming and it's bright and gives me energy to study and get my work done.
The second floor of the chapel will open soon with a newly renovated kitchen and spaces for performances. This is Juhi with the UMass News Now. After yelling at 2 Indian men to, quote, "get out of my country," 51-year-old Adam Pertain opened fire in the middle of a crowded bar. The attack killed one of the men he harassed and wounded another, as well as a third man who tried to help. A few hours later, Pertain repeatedly told a bartender a few towns over that he needed to find a place to hide because he just killed 2 Middle Eastern men. The families of the men are describing last Wednesday's attack as a hate crime, but officials in the Kansas City suburbs declined to discuss the motive. The deceased man was identified as Servas Kuchki-Bolta. He left behind a wife who said, quote, "I don't know what to say. We've read many times in the newspapers of some kind of shooting happening somewhere. I was always concerned, are we doing the right thing staying in the U.S. or America? But he always assured me that good things happen in America." End quote. Puritan is being held on a $2 million bond.
Last Friday, Iraq's Air Force struck Islamic State group targets inside Syria for the first time. This attack was in response to recent bombings in Baghdad claimed by the militants, according to Iraqi officials. Forces that are closely supported by the U.S.-led international coalition took full control of the city's international airport. As Iraqi warplanes struck Islamic State targets across the border, militants in northern Syria staged a suicide car bomb attack. The attack killed 60 people. According to the Associated Press, most of those killed were civilians awaiting permits and an escort to return to Al-Bab. Hours after that suicide bombing in northern Syria, another car bomb was reported in the village, killing at least 8 people. Meanwhile, in Mosul, Iraq, Iraqi forces engaged with Islamic militants. The United Nations estimate about 750,000 civilians are trapped in western Mosul.
And that concludes tonight's newscast. Be sure to tune in next week at the same time for all of the latest local news headlines. I'm Juhi Dasrath.
And I'm Afnan Nehela. Thanks for watching UMass News Now. Have a great night.